Good morning, dear students. We are going to discuss hip bone today, so which is the first bone of osteology in the lower limb. So, in order to make you understand the features of hip bone, I will try to show the bone and discuss. I hope you are able to look at me now. So, the bone what we are seeing is the hip bone. Okay. So first of all, when you just hold the hip bone, always you should know to which side it belongs to, whether it belongs to right side or left side. So how to determine that? So basically, the hip bone is made up of three bones. The upper expanded part, what you are finding is ilium. The anterior thin bone, what you are finding is pubis, and the thick bone over which we rest while we are sitting, this is ischium. So basically, hip bone has three components, that is ilium, pubis, and ischium. The meeting point of these three bones is acetabulum. Acetabulum is the place where you will see the head of the femur comes and articulates over here to form which joint is this? Hip joint. Okay. So this cavity what you are finding is intended for the head of the femur, that is acetabulum. Now you are also finding a very big opening. Okay. So the very big foramen what we have in our body, that is obturator foramen. Okay. Now so now I told you like we have to figure out whether it is right hip bone or left hip bone. How to make it out? Suppose if it was complete pelvis like this, you are finding you have two hip bones, isn't it? We have this is the right hip bone, this is the left hip bone. Okay, in between the two hip bones, posteriorly, if you see this, this is the sacrum bone in the center. Okay, sacrum, right and left hip bones. Okay, the point of the fusion of two hip bones you are finding here, this is pubic symphysis or symphysis pubis. Okay, so this is actually a pelvic cavity. I'm showing you the whole pelvic cavity so that you get an orientation like we have two hip bones forming the pelvic girdle. Okay, two hip bones which are joined behind by this bone you are seeing, that is the sacrum. Okay, that is. Now, in order to determine whether it is right or left, obviously, when you see or look towards the outside of any hip bone, you can see the acetabulum is facing outwards. That means the bone what you are holding when you are showing your examiner or when you are learning for yourself, you will see this has to be facing outwards. Okay. So there are certain things what you should know, like see uh, this pubis should come anteriorly. That means thin bone should come in front. Acetabulum should face outwards, and of course, this upper expanded part should stand superiorly. Okay, that's how you will know like this is right hip bone. Okay, now in the articulated like pelvic cavity, I'm again showing you. So this is one of the hip bone. The upper expanded bone you are finding is the ilium, right? You're finding acetabulum outside. You're finding thin bone which is projecting anteriorly. You are finding thick bone which is behind where we are resting or sitting. Okay? So that means two thin bones are coming anteriorly and they unite and they form a junction which is called as pubic symphysis or symphysis pubis. Okay, that means pubis bone should come anteriorly, acetabulum should face outwards, ilium should be upwards, and the uh, ischium should face behind posteriorly. Okay, that's how you can easily identify whether it is belonging to right side or left side. Now let me hold once again. I hope you can understand which side it belongs to. Should I hold it like this, or keeping acetabulum again outside, should I hold the bone like this? If you observe, this looks thicker, right? And this looks thinner. isn't it? If you see both simultaneously, this looks thin and this looks thick. So thin bone should come anteriorly and thick bone should go posteriorly. So that means what? So this is right hip bone, what I have in my hand. Okay. So now let us discuss some more features. Okay. So I will try to show the diagram first and then come back to the true bone so that you understand things better. So I hope you are able to see the bone now. See here. The bone what you are seeing now is like the whole thing is bone. I said it has three components: ilium, pubis and ischium, right? So the ilium, it has upper expanded part which is iliac crest. Okay, then so the point where all the three bones are meeting is acetabulum, and the anterior thin bone is pubis, posterior thicker one is ischium. Okay, now the upper expanded part of the ilium is called iliac crest. Okay, this is iliac crest. Because acetabulum is seen here, obviously, like the iliac crest has, it is expanded and elaborated part. That's the reason it has outer lip, as you can see here. This is the outer lip, this outer black line, and this is the inner lip of the iliac crest. Okay, in between the outer and inner lip, whatever area is there in between, you call it as intermediate area. The celiac crest is quite important because it gives attachment to many muscles. Okay, so this is outer lip. The one which is inside is the inner lip, and in between, whatever we have is the intermediate area. Okay, now we know like the place where we have this pointed edge thin bone is pubis, right? So corresponding to the pubis, that means this is the anterior end of the ilium bone, this is the posterior end of the ilium bone. So the pointed end of the ilium bone is anterior superior iliac spine. Similarly, there is one more pointed end of the ilium bone lower down, because its position is down, you name it as anterior inferior iliac spine. So this is anterior superior iliac spine, this is anterior inferior iliac spine. Okay, similarly, when you see behind also, we have posterior superior iliac spine and posterior inferior iliac spine. Okay, now so if you just look at this hip bone, that is the ilium component, like it has three surfaces. The surface which is towards the acetabulum, that is facing outwards, is called gluteal surface. This is called as gluteal surface because it gives attachment to gluteal muscles. Okay, now we have certain gluteal lines in between which we will see the gluteal muscles are originating. Okay, so what are these gluteal lines? Based on the position, they have been named as, see, the one which is lower down, it is called as inferior gluteal line. The one which is behind is posterior gluteal line, and between the posterior and inferior we have anterior gluteal line. Okay, so between these gluteal lines again we will have muscles taking the origin, which are gluteal muscles. Okay, now if you just observe behind, that is like I told you, this is posterior superior iliac spine and posterior inferior iliac spine. As you trace inwards, there is a notch over here which is called as greater sciatic notch. Okay, greater sciatic notch. It has been so named because it is giving outlet to the thickest nerve of our body, that is sciatic nerve. And as we proceed downwards, okay, we are finding a pointed projection at the lower and extreme end of this greater sciatic notch, which is called ischial spine. Ischial spine. Okay, so now if you observe in this bone again, when you are just talking about ilium alone, it has three borders and three surfaces. The three borders are, see, the one which is extending from anterior superior iliac spine to almost anterior inferior iliac spine, you call it as anterior border, and the one which is extending from posterior superior iliac spine to posterior inferior iliac spine. We call it as posterior border. This is the outer surface, but if you just observe the other surface, that is the inner surface, there is one more border, okay, that is called as medial border, which is actually extending from the ventral and dorsal segments. If you just divide this iliac crest into our anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 junction, if you just trace, there is again a sharp border which is going downwards and medially. So this border is medial border. So I told you we have three borders. What are those? Anterior border, posterior border, and medial border. Then I said we have three surfaces. The one which is seen from outside, you call it as gluteal surface. And the one which you see from inside, we have two more surfaces, that is iliac fossa and sacropelvic surface. So in the sacropelvic surface, we have iliac tuberosity and we have auricular surface. Okay, so these are the areas where you will see the sacrum bone comes and articulates to form the sacroiliac joint, to form the pelvic cavity. Okay. You just observe right in front of the greater sciatic notch there is one sulcus which is called as preauricular sulcus. Okay, preauricular sulcus. Okay, then. So these are the things which I want you to remember for now for this ilium bone. Now let me show you in the bone also. In the bone, just now I told you we have certain borders and surfaces. The upper expanded part is completely ilium part of the hip bone. Now I told you this is the right hip bone. So in the right hip bone, if you observe, this is anterior superior iliac spine and this is anterior inferior iliac spine. Between the anterior superior iliac spine and anterior inferior iliac spine, this continuous border, whatever you are finding, is anterior border. Similarly, if you see from behind, this is posterior superior iliac spine, this is posterior inferior iliac spine, and this whole border is the posterior border. You can see it is becoming continuous with one notch. When you see this notch is nothing but greater sciatic notch. Okay, greater sciatic notch. Right? So we have seen anterior border, we have seen posterior border. Now this surface is gluteal surface because it is towards the acetabulum. If you observe from inside, I told you this is iliac fossa and this is sacropelvic surface, between which again you are finding there is one border which is medially running downwards, forwards and medially. So this border is medial border. Okay, medial border. And this whole thing you are finding is the iliac crest, which is sinuously curved or S-shaped. Okay, now we can actually, when you hold this in correct position, you can see it can be divided into ventral segment, anterior 2/3 from here till here. Okay, this is ventral segment. Behind is dorsal segment. Okay, so anterior 2/3 is ventral or anterior segment, posterior 1/3 is dorsal or posterior segment. Okay, now I told you this whole of the iliac crest, it has certain lips. When you see from outside, this lip, I'll draw and show you. This lip, what I have put a chalk, this mark is the outer lip. Similarly, we can draw one more line over here. I hope you are able to see this one more line, that is the inner lip. So that means there is one lip outside, that is outer lip. There is one lip inside, which is the inner lip. In between the two lips, whatever area is there, you call it as intermediate area. Okay, why I am so much particular about these lips? Because all, like this iliac crest is a very important area which gives attachment to many muscles of the anterior abdominal wall and also back muscles. Okay, so I'll show you what are the muscles originating with the help of pictures. Okay. Then when I was discussing about the gluteal region, I was also talking about the gluteal lines, right? So there is one line which is behind, okay, that is the posterior gluteal line, one line which is down, almost coming from the anterior inferior iliac spine to the greater sciatic notch. This is inferior gluteal line. Okay, then you will see there is one more line like this, which is anterior gluteal line. So how many gluteal lines do we have? Three gluteal lines. Gluteal lines are nothing but the bony eminences which we find on the gluteal surface. Okay, we know like this is the anatomical position. Because this is lower down, you call it as inferior gluteal line. This is anterior gluteal line and this is posterior gluteal line. Okay, then. So that's what I want you to remember. Okay, then. So this is the gluteal surface, and if you observe, this is fossa-like area, such big depression you are finding. This is nothing but iliac fossa. Okay, and this is sacropelvic surface. Okay, where you will see the sacrum bone comes and articulates over here to form sacroiliac joint. If you observe this complete pelvic cavity also, you are not finding this. Only iliac fossa is visible, right? You are not finding sacropelvic surface because the sacrum has come and it has articulated over here. Okay? Yeah. Anything else? Yes. So let me share the PowerPoint now. So I hope you understood these things. Once you know, like the borders, surfaces, we will also try to see the attachments now. Okay. Now between the posterior gluteal line and the posterior border, we are finding gluteus maximus is taking its origin. Between the posterior and anterior gluteal lines, we have gluteus medius taking its origin. Between the anterior and inferior gluteal line, we will see the gluteus minimus is taking its origin. Surprisingly, when you just look at the hip bone, it looks as though gluteus maximus is small, medius is medium sized, and minimus is larger. It's not like that. Gluteus maximus also takes its origin from various other parts of the lower limb bones, like it has its origins from the sacrum bone as well, sacrotuberous ligament, many more things you will come across. Okay, that's the reason only a small part of it is taking its origin from the hip bone. Okay, the largest muscle is, as named here, it is gluteus maximus. Okay, then. So now this anterior superior iliac spine, it gives origin to sartorius. Okay, then anterior inferior iliac spine, it gives origin to rectus femoris. Rectus femoris muscle has two heads, that is straight head and reflected head. Straight head is coming from the anterior inferior iliac spine, whereas reflected head comes from the area above the greater acetabulum. Okay, let me show you. See, this is anterior superior iliac spine. You can see in the picture and tell me which muscle is this? Sartorius. Here we have sartorius. Then anterior inferior iliac spine, we have which muscle? Straight head of rectus femoris. Okay. Then this is the acetabulum, and just above this area you have reflected head of rectus femoris. Okay. Then now from the outer lip of the iliac crest, we are finding now, see, this is our anterior 2/3 area. We are finding certain muscles like tensor fascia lata. Okay, now in the like adjacent to that, you are finding the external oblique. In the intermediate area, we are finding the internal oblique muscles. As you go more behind, we have latissimus dorsi. Okay, latissimus dorsi. Now coming to the posterior inferior iliac spine, which muscle is taking its origin? Piriformis. Piriformis is very important muscle when we study gluteal region. Piriformis is considered as key muscle of gluteal region, key, lock and key. Okay, because because this is the landmark muscle below which you will see the sciatic nerve will be coming out. That's the reason piriformis is considered as key muscle of gluteal region. Okay, so I hope from the outer surface you are able to appreciate what are the various muscles coming. Okay, now coming to the inner surface. Now, we know this area is the iliac fossa. Iliac fossa is giving attachment or origin to the iliacus. Okay, inner lip of the iliac crest. You are finding the transversus abdominis taking its origin. This is one of the muscles of anterior abdominal wall. Okay, then you have certain other structures like quadratus lumborum. Okay, as you go more behind, okay, that is in the dorsal segment, outer lip or outer slope it is called as, we see the origin of erector spinae. So the ligaments which are attached on the sacropelvic surface, okay, this rough area, okay, that is the iliac tuberosity and this is the auricular surface. Here you will see the connections of the sacrum bone and the ilium part of the hip bone. These connections are via ligaments. So what are the various ligaments we find here? Between the ilium bone and lumbar vertebrae, we find iliolumbar ligament. Between the sacrum bone and this iliac bone, you call it as dorsal sacroiliac ligament, and this is interosseous sacroiliac ligament. So all these ligaments are actually holding the sacrum bone in contact with the hip bone. Okay, this is the auricular surface. Correspondingly, we find auricular surface on the sacrum bone also, which will be helping in the formation of the sacroiliac joint. Below this, we already know like this is the greater sciatic notch. Okay, so these are the various attachments. I'm exclusively first talking about ilium bone so that you don't get confused. Slowly we will move to other bones. Okay, because this picture exclusively shows us the iliac crest. Okay, so this is the anterior superior iliac spine, this is the anterior two-third, also called as the ventral segment, and this is the posterior one-third, which is also called as the dorsal segment. Okay, then this is the anterior end. The layout has been shown. Anterior end, then this is the posterior end. This side is lateral. That means this is the lateral lip and this is the medial lip. Okay, very simple. From the anterior superior iliac spine, we know it gives origin to the longest muscle of our body. What is that? Sartorius. Okay. Then just behind that, you will see there is a ligament attached, very important ligament called as inguinal ligament. Now, when you see from in the ventral segment, from outer lip to the inner lip, what are the various muscles attached? We have transversus abdominis. In the intermediate area, we have internal oblique. And as you move outside, we have external oblique. Okay. Then we have tensor fascia lata. Okay. That means this is the outer lip. This is the inner lip. So in the outer lip, we have tensor fascia lata, external oblique. In the intermediate area, we have internal oblique. And towards the inner lip, we have the origin of transversus abdominis. Okay. Now in the ventral segment itself, in the posterior aspect of the ventral segment, we will see the origin of latissimus dorsi more close towards the outer lip and origin of quadratus lumborum more so towards the inner lip of the iliac crest. Now on the dorsal segment of the iliac crest, the outer slope is giving origin to gluteus maximus, inner slope is giving origin to erector spinae. Iliac crest itself can be a 3 marks question. So it's better you practice this diagram so that it helps you to remember the origin insertion of muscles also. Again, when we move to other regions, suppose when we are doing the anterior abdominal wall, abdomen, all these terms will come again. You will be able to easily recollect if you practice this diagram. Okay. all these muscles, whatever are attached to hip bone, again you will again come across these muscles when we are doing femur, because the origin will be as like scapula we have seen, humerus we have seen. All scapular muscles, most of them have taken their insertion in humerus. Similarly, most of the muscles which are attached to the hip bone will take their insertion on femur. That's the reason, try to remember the origin insertion. Region wise also, when you study front of the thigh, back of the thigh, front of the leg, back of the leg, something like that. If you remember osteology, muscle attachments better here, automatically you will be able to write origin insertion in your own words. Okay? Like this. So now I will come, now see, hip bone, it's also called as innominate bone. So we have seen it is quite irregular. It is presenting a cup-shaped depression, that is acetabulum. There is a big foramen here, that is obturator foramen. So this whole thing is the dorsal component where we have the ilium. Ventral component, anteriorly we have pubis and posteriorly we have ischium. All these three bones are joining at a common point, that is acetabulum. Initially, that means during the growth of the baby, you will see they are like united by means of a triradiate cartilage. Gradually, that cartilage will be replaced by a bone which is ossified by puberty. So the upper, like this violet color is indicating the maximum part of the acetabulum is contributed by ilium. That means upper 2/5 of the acetabulum is contributed by ilium, lower 2/5 by ischium, and anterior 1/5 of the acetabulum is contributed by pubis. Okay, then of course if bone is very much irregular bone, you have seen the classification of bones, right? So we have seen long bone, flat bones, irregular bone. So one of the best examples of irregular bone is the bone. It has three components, ilium, ischium and pubis, and of course cup shaped depression, that is acetabulum, and obturator foramen. Side determination, I told you, acetabulum forms the socket for the head of the femur, which is directed outwards, that is laterally. The flat expanded ilium forms the upper part, isn't it? That lies above the acetabulum. Obturator foramen lies below the acetabulum, and it is bounded anteriorly by thin pubis and posteriorly by thick and strong ischium. We have seen all these points. Anatomical position. Now, if you just, I'll try to show you now so simultaneously, if you can see here. So what is written here, anterior superior iliac spine. If I hold this, this is the anterior superior iliac spine, okay, and this is the upper end of, and the upper end of the pubic symphysis. They lie in the same coronal plane, okay, anterior superior iliac spine and the upper end of pubic symphysis, they lie in the same coronal plane. That's what you should be able to hold the bone in correct anatomical position like this. Okay, anterior superior iliac spine and the pubic symphysis area, they lie in the same coronal plane. Then symphysial surface, this is the symphysial surface, symphysis pubis. So this symphysial surface of the pubis, how is the direction? It is downwards, forwards, and you should hold in such a way it should come in midline. It should be held in medially. Okay, acetabulum should face forwards and laterally. Ischial tuberosity, that is occupying the lowest position like this. Okay, so this is the anatomical position of the bone. And of course, for your convenience, I am also using this complete pelvic cavity so as to make you understand the anatomical position. You can see pubic symphysis has come in the midline, right? Acetabulum has come outwards, and the ischial tuberosity is resting behind, backwards to a thick bone, isn't it? Like this. Now, whatever I have discussed already is being told here. Okay. Now, see here. The ilium is upper expanded plate. It has two ends. This is the upper end. The one which is merging with the acetabulum is the lower end. There's three borders, like it has anterior border we have seen, posterior border we have seen, medial border also we saw, right? We have seen the three fossa surfaces also. What are those? This depression, nice cup-like depression, is iliac fossa. Then we have, this is the sacropelvic surface, which is quite rough. outside where gluteal muscles are attached, this is the gluteal surface. So upper end, this whole thing is the iliac crest, which is running from anterior superior iliac spine to posterior superior iliac spine. That means between my two fingers, whatever I am holding, this whole thing, what you can see this one, this one. Okay, that is the upper end, like you have this whole thing is the iliac crest, right? Then, so supracrustal plane, see this you will be able to understand. See, suppose if you hold the bone like this and the highest point, suppose I'm just keeping the femur as for our convenience, like the highest point, whatever you see, horizontal line joining the summits of iliac crest of both sides, which is actually corresponding to the lower border of L4. Okay, then now if you just observe, I told you when you hold the bone in correct position, see this is the outer lip. So from the anterior superior iliac spine, if you just trace your finger and if you just go just 5 centimeters behind, you just feel the hardness of the bone over here. Okay, I'm trying to keep the checklist mark for you. Okay, so this one you are finding just 5 centimeters behind at the outer lip. Okay, this tubercle, you call it as tubercle of iliac crest. Tubercle is always little thicker, tough structure which you see at the outer lip. I hope you bought the bones. If not, also try to buy the bone set. Okay, because with the help of bones, you will be able to study better. Okay, that is. But even if you don't have bones, also don't stop studying because we are making all efforts to make you understand. Please. Okay. Then. So now hold this, I told you this whole thing is the iliac crest, right? So which has been divided into the ventral segment and the dorsal segment. Attachments also we have studied with the help of this diagram. This is the outer lip, this is the inner lip, the anterior superior iliac spine, posterior superior iliac spine, this is the iliac crest, isn't it? Then, so 5 centimeters behind, what do we have? We have the tubercle of the iliac crest, right? So this is the tubercle of the iliac crest, just 5 centimeters on the outer lip. Okay. So whatever I have told you with the help of bone and I have shown you with the diagram is only texted here. So just to avoid like lot of theory thing, you may get bored. I'm just trying to skip these slides because I have explained you everything. So just one more thing I want you to remember, like iliac crest is crossed by following nerves from before backwards. That means from front to behind, we have certain structures. That is lateral cutaneous branch of subcostal nerve, lateral cutaneous branch of iliohypogastric nerve, lateral cutaneous branch of dorsal rami of upper three lumbar nerves from front to back. These are the structures which it is related to. Okay, that is which segment? The dorsal segment. That means from here till here. Not from here, from here till here. Let me move this cursor. This is only the dorsal segment. So in the dorsal segment, all these nerves you will see. Okay, lateral cutaneous branch of subcostal, iliohypogastric, dorsal rami of the lumbar nerves. Okay, so lower end of the bone, where is it connected to? See here, this is the lower end of the ilium and it is connected posteriorly to ischium and anteriorly to pubis. And the floor is meeting here in the acetabulum. Okay. Yes. Now everything has been elaborated. Now you can see here, like same thing whatever I told you is actually texted, like anterior border, it is extending from anterior superior iliac spine and it is moving to anterior inferior iliac spine. Okay, so its anterior border, we know it gives origin to the sartorius and also the inguinal ligament, isn't it? That is posterior border, it is actually moving from posterior, see, upper of part plus posterior inferior iliac spine, upper end of the sacrotuberous ligament. The sacrotuberous ligament you will see here like this. Okay, so sacrotuberous ligament is actually These are the connections between the sacrum bone and the ischial tuberosity. Okay, here. Then, so upper border of the greater sciatic notch, I told you there is one key muscle. What is that? Piriformis. Okay, so greater sciatic foramen transmits piriformis. Above piriformis, you will have superior gluteal vessels and nerves. Below piriformis, you also have inferior gluteal vessels and nerves. Okay, sciatic nerve is the chief component. Anyhow, all these structures you will be learning again when you do gluteal region. Now itself, if I tell everything, it may look more cumbersome. I don't want to make it complicated. Things will repeat anyhow. Then, medial border, I said it is extending from the medial aspect. No, like it is posterior 1/3 is rough and iliolumbar and dorsosacral and dorsal sacroiliac ligament. You will see the medial border is contributed by anterior 1/3 is rounded. This one is anterior 1/3 and this is the posterior 1/3. So anterior 1/3 is actually forming the arcuate line. Let me show you this. So this continuation is actually arcuate line. See, if you observe this whole thing is medial border. Okay? Then, whole thing. Let me draw one line and show you. This whole thing, whatever you see, is medial border. Okay? So this is the posterior border. That means if you hold it in proper position, so this is becoming posterior and this is becoming anterior. So it is actually becoming in continuation with one line. But I kept my finger now. This is nothing but arcuate line. This is the posterior 1/3 and this is the anterior 1/3. So posterior 1/3 is very close to the ligaments. Okay. So what are the ligaments I told you just now? Iliolumbar and dorsal sacroiliac ligaments. The anterior 1/3 is rounded and it is in continuation with this line, that is nothing but the arcuate line. Okay. Then all these structures again you need not worry much about, and that's why I'm just skipping it. Then this is the iliac fossa. This is the iliac fossa. I said this fossa-like structure what you have. So upper 2/3 of the iliac fossa, what is it giving origin to? Iliacus. So this surface, which is quite rough, this one, isn't it? So this rough surface, whatever you have, is sacropelvic surface. So it has two parts. It has sacral part and then it has pelvic part. Sacral part is presenting auricular surface. Auricular means what? It is like an ear. I'm just drawing so that I hope you can see. This looks like an ear. Okay. Yes. So this is auricular surface, okay, which articulates with the sacrum bone to form sacroiliac joint. The type of joint is plain synovial type of joint. Then this is the tuberosity of the ilium. Okay, tuberosity of the ilium, this upper part. This is the part which gives attachment to various ligaments between the lumbar vertebra, sacrum, and the ilium bone. So, what are the various ligaments we have? Iliolumbar here, okay, dorsal sacroiliac and interosseous sacroiliac ligaments like this. These ligaments I have shown you previously also. If you remember, all these three ligaments I have shown you. Yes, these three. Iliolumbar, dorsal sacroiliac, and interosseous sacroiliac. These are all attached to the iliac tuberosity. This is the auricular surface, which looks like an ear. Correspondingly, we have auricular surface on the sacrum bone also. Okay, so this is one which you should remember. Then. So the pelvic part is smooth, which is the pelvic part here, this one. Below the auricular surface, whatever surface is there, it is quite smooth and touch. That will be pelvic surface, which is smooth and continuous with the, if you just scroll your finger, it is coming downwards like this. That means it is in continuation with the pelvic surface of this tough thick bone, that is ischium. Pelvic part is smooth, continuous with the pelvic surface of ischium. It gives origin to this muscle. This whole is obturator foramen, I said, right? Inside the obturator foramen, we have a muscle like this. You call it as obturator internus. From outside, we have obturator externus. Because this is inside view, we have obturator internus. Okay. So the pelvic part is, that means below the auricular part, this is the pelvic part, whole body, where body word is written, which is quite smooth and it is in continuation with the this bluish area. Okay, so that means that is the pelvic surface of ischium. Okay, and this is the part which is giving origin to this muscle. What is the name of this muscle? Obturator internus. Okay, then just in front of the auricular surface, we have preauricular sulcus. Okay, especially it is well defined in case of females because of the stretching of the ventral sacroiliac ligaments during the process of parturition, labor, that is the delivery of baby. That's how it becomes very much more clear. Preauricular sulcus, let me show you. Actually, I have shown you, I am showing you again. Remember, yeah. Can you see this? This is the preauricular sulcus. In case of female bones, generally the preauricular sulcus will be well defined. Okay. Generally, even in case of the bone what I am holding, there also I am finding this preauricular sulcus. That means it shows it's a female bone. Okay, and just put a pink Chapis mark to indicate the preauricular sulcus. Okay, so that's what. And then preauricular sulcus present in the females because of the stretching of ventral sacroiliac ligament. This is the point of the preauricular sulcus. Okay. Then gluteal surface, already I told you we have three gluteal lines and it gives origin to the gluteal muscles. Okay. We have also seen from the anterior inferior iliac spine we have straight head of rectus femoris. Above the acetabulum we have the upper margin of the acetabulum, we have reflected head of rectus femoris. So that's how we are done with whole of ilium bone. So what I suggest you is to pause the video, try to read ilium first, thoroughly understand ilium, then only go to other bones. Because the bone is quite lengthy bone, if you are planning to study at one stretch, it may be little more like burdensome for you. So just to, if you divide and study, it becomes easy. Okay, now coming to the next bone, that is ischium. So ischium is tough and thick bone. It has body, and then this part is ramus. This whole tough thick part, upper expanded part is body, and then this is ramus. So the body, it has upper end and lower end. This is the upper end, this is the lower end. Okay, then the body has three borders. Now see, this is the ischium, right? Towards the obturator foramen, the border would be anterior border. Towards outside, the border is lateral border, and behind the border is posterior border. Okay, so we have anterior, lateral, and posterior borders. Okay, then anterior, lateral, and posterior borders. Now between these borders we have femoral, dorsal and pelvic surfaces. Okay. Let me show you in the board all these three borders, anterior, lateral, posterior, and the surface is femoral, dorsal and pelvic. Yes. So now this, let me stop the sharing of screen and let me show you the bone. See, this tough and thick bone what we have here is ischium. Okay, The upper expanded part, whatever you are finding, this whole thing is body. Okay, and this is the ramus of ischium, right? So in this body, again, see, if you hold it in correct anatomical position, this is the pubis bone and tough thick bone is ischium. So I told you we have three borders. The one which is towards this obturator foramen, this border is the anterior border, which forms the posterior margin of obturator foramen. Okay, and the border which is outside is the lateral border. Okay, this is anterior border, this is lateral border. And if you just turn the bone and if you see from behind, there is one more sharp border which is the posterior border. So how many borders do we have? Three. One is anterior border, then we have the lateral border which is outside lateral, and the other, if you turn the bone and see a little from behind, more towards inside, you are finding this is the posterior border. Once you know the borders, we have certain surfaces. What are those? We have femoral surface, we have dorsal surface, and then we have pelvic surface. Okay? Femoral surface, I told you this is the point where the femoral bone comes and fixes over here. So obviously wherever the femoral bone is seen, that means this particular surface where I kept my finger between the anterior border and the lateral border, you call this as the femoral surface. Okay, then between the lateral border and posterior border, this surface is called as dorsal surface. If you turn the bone from inside, if you see, this is pelvic surface, right? So between the posterior border and anterior border, whatever smooth surface we have is pelvic surface. Always remember, either it is ilium or it is ischium or it is pubis. Pelvic surface is always smooth, because pelvic surface is the surface where we have, this is inside surface is the pelvic surface, right? Outside surface will have muscular attachments, whereas inside things are quite smooth because it gives, it lodges the visceral organs. What are the organs we see inside the pelvis? We see urinary bladder, you see uterus, you see rectum, anal canal, anterior to posterior. In case of females, whereas in males we have only urinary bladder, rectum, anal canal, uterus is not there, right? So that's the reason pelvic surface is always smooth in outline. Okay, pelvic surface is smooth because towards the pelvic surface we have visceral organs covered with peritoneum. Okay, that's the reason pelvic surface is smooth. I hope you understood the three borders and three surfaces of the body. Okay, now again let me share my PowerPoint. So I hope you understand now the upper end and the lower end of the body. Three borders, anterior, lateral and posterior, three surfaces, femoral, pelvic and dorsal surface. Now, let me show you the bones simultaneously because now you got an idea. So this is the upper end and you can see the upper end is united with, what are the other bones? You know, it is united with ilium, and the upper end is, if you just move like this, it is also united with pubis, right? So upper end is united superiorly with ilium and anteriorly with pubis. The lower end is forming this tough round thickening over which we are sitting. You can palpate in your own body. So this like round thickening is actually called as ischial tuberosity. Okay, already I told you anterior border is forming the posterior margin of obturator foramen. Lateral border is outside, right? It's not in the upper part. So much I already told you. Let's not confuse you with unnecessary things. Posterior border also I have shown you and I have explained you. Okay, then. So I'll show you the attachments also and we will discuss. No problem. Femoral surface, what are the various muscles coming, we will discuss, right? So now pelvic surface is, I told you always pelvic surface is smooth and it is giving origin, the same muscle is continuing. What I told you, the pelvic surface of ilium also same muscle we saw, that is obturator internus. Okay. Now before we go to other details, let me show you the muscle attachments with simple pictures which are actually good, which will help you to remember easily and retain things much better. I'll go with these pictures. Yeah. Yes. Now see, this is ischium, right? So this is the ischial tuberosity. This is the ramus of ischium. Now if you see, this is the anterior border is said, and this is posterior border. If you just continue round, like continuously, if you just move this, below there is a pointed structure which is called as ischial spine. That means it is in continuation with the lower border of the greater sciatic notch. Wherever the greater sciatic notch is ending, there you will see there is a sharp everted bone which is called as ischial spine. So on this ischial spine, if you just continue your journey below ischial spine, there is one more notch which is called as lesser sciatic notch. That means what? If you just keep this ischial spine as a landmark, above ischial spine is greater sciatic notch, below ischial spine is lesser sciatic notch. The whole of this rounded area is ischial tuberosity. Okay, then now if you observe, like at the ischial spine, you are finding the origin of one muscle, that is superior gemellus. Now lower down at the lesser sciatic notch, we are also finding there is one more muscle originating, that is inferior gemellus. Okay, so we have superior gemellus and inferior gemellus. Okay, these are the muscles which are seen associated with the lesser sciatic notch above and below. Okay, then now if you come to the like I will take you to another picture. This is quite important. What are the various muscles coming from the ischial tuberosity? Actually ischial tuberosity gives origin to the hamstring muscles. What do you mean by hamstring muscles? Muscles which are coming from the posterior compartment of the thigh. The muscles of posterior compartment of the thigh are called as hamstring muscles, and all these hamstring muscles are taking their origin from ischial tuberosity. Now let us see this ischial tuberosity. Now ischial tuberosity, let me show you simultaneously. See here, the ischial tuberosity has been divided, see, by a transverse. This whole thing is ischial tuberosity. This whole thing is ischial tuberosity. I'm just drawing now one transverse ridge. Okay, this pink line, whatever you see here, this this pink line, whatever we are finding, this is the like transverse ridge. Above the transverse ridge, we have one oblique ridge. Okay, so this oblique ridge is moving like you can see, like this is the oblique ridge. This is our ischial spine. Okay, this is the greater sciatic notch. Below this is the lesser sciatic notch. We are finding there is one oblique line here or oblique ridge here. So here, if you see, we have two muscles. Above this oblique ridge, we have the origin of semimembranosus. Below this, we have the origin of semitendinosus and biceps femoris. Above the oblique ridge, we have semimembranosus. Below this, we have semitendinosus and biceps femoris. Okay. Below this transverse line, again, there is one vertical line. Okay. So this vertical line, again, if you see this vertical line, so here, now, towards see here, again two more muscles are originating. What is this? Adductor magnus, and towards outside we are finding the attachment of sacrotuberous ligament. Okay, sacrotuberous ligament. Okay, let us see. So let me show you again, exclusively stopping this. Yeah. So this whole thing is ischial tuberosity. So in this ischial tuberosity, I told you we have to draw one line, a transverse line. So above transverse line, again we are supposed to draw one oblique line. So above the oblique line, we will see the origin of semimembranosus. Below the oblique line, we have the origin of semitendinosus and biceps femoris. Below this oblique line, again we have one vertical line, isn't it? So below this vertical line, again, we have towards outside, we have the attachment of sacrotuberous ligament. And towards medially, we have the origin of adductor magnus. Adductor magnus. All these muscles, whatever I told you, semi-membranosus, semi-tendinosus biceps femoris, and the adductor magnus, all these muscles are coming under the category of hamstring muscles, which are nothing but the muscles of the posterior compartment of the thigh. Okay, so posterior compartment of the thigh, all muscles take their origin from ischial tuberosity. I hope this is clear. Okay, after knowing these details, so now see again, if you observe, this is the pelvic surface of the hip bone, and this is our ischial tuberosity, and this is our ischial spine. Very much close to the ischial spine, on the pelvic surface, what are the muscles we are seeing? Coccygeus is originating, levator ani posterior fibers are originating. Okay, please retain this information in your brain so that once you read this, take the help of textbook while listening to this lecture, so that simultaneously you can open the textbook picture and try to study, it becomes easy. Okay, so ischial spine, so it is giving attachment to the, see which is our ischial spine, this one. So it is giving attachment to sacrospinous ligament. Okay, just now I have shown you two muscles, that is the levator ani and coccygeus. This much you try to remember. Femoral surface, that is towards outside, it gives origin to obturator externus. I told you, like, see, this is, just a minute. So whole thing is obturator foramen, right? Obturator foramen. So this is inside, I told you, inside we have obturator internus muscle, outside we have obturator externus muscle originating. In between, this whole hole is closed by obturator membrane. Obturator membrane. That means from outside aspect of obturator membrane, we have obturator externus. From inside aspect of obturator membrane, we have obturator internus. Okay. So that is femoral surface. So dorsal surface, actually this is what I wanted you to learn, that is ischial tuberosity. This is the transverse ridge which is dividing this into upper quadrilateral part and lower triangular part. Upper part is again subdivided by this oblique ridge into upper and lateral area for the origin of semi-membranosus. Lower and medial area, two muscles, semitendinosus and long head of biceps femoris. Lower part is again subdivided by a vertical ridge into lateral and medial areas, right? So lateral area is giving origin to hamstring part of adductor magnus. Medial area is covered by fibrofatty tissue and also transmits body weight in sitting. And in the lower end, you are seeing the attachment of sacrotuberous ligament. I have shown you in the other picture, sacrotuberous ligament in the medial margin. Okay, that is. Pelvic surface is always smooth, and in the upper part you see it is giving origin to obturator internus. Towards the ischial spine on the pelvic surface, I said we have the origin of levator, ani and coccygeus. Now coming to this area, this thing is actually called as ramus. Okay, so this ramus, actually again let me stop sharing the PowerPoint and let me share the bone. Now, if you look at this bone, I told you this is the ischium part and this is the pubis part. So this is the ischiopubic ramus. That means this is the ramus of ischium, this is the ramus of pubis. Together, ramus of ischium and ramus of pubis are meeting to form ischiopubic ramus. So this together only usually it is studied. Okay, ramus of ischium and inferior ramus of pubis, together they form ischiopubic ramus. So what are the presenting parts? It has upper border, it has lower border. Again, inside surface is quite smooth, you call it as pelvic surface. Outside surface is quite rough and it is called as dorsal surface. Okay, basically it is studied as ischiopubic ramus. So let us see what are the various structures which are attached to the pelvic surface and and also to the dorsal surface. So dorsal surface maximum thing is it is giving attachment to medial compartment muscles. Here we had posterior compartment of thigh muscles. Isn't it hamstrings? Here you will have medial compartment of thigh muscles. Okay, which are also called as adductor muscles. Adductor muscles we will see on the outside external surface. Obviously on the medial side we will have perineal muscles. Let us see. I will show the PowerPoint and discuss. It becomes easy for you to understand. Now see here, I told you this is the ramus of ischium, right? This is the ischial tuberosity and this is the ramus. You can see there is one partition which is shown like a line over here, as though it is joining the ramus of ischium, the ramus of pubis. This is the joining point. So the ramus of ischium is pointing upwards, forwards and medially and meets the inferior ramus of pubis. They are initially separated by a plate of cartilage during growth, but as the baby is becoming 7 to 8 years old, then it is replaced by a bone. Okay, and together you call it as conjoined ischiopubic ramus. Okay, conjoined ischiopubic ramus. It presents upper border. I have shown you that presents lower border. I told you that it presents a surface from outside. You call it as dorsal surface or outer surface. It presents one surface from inside. You call it as pelvic surface. Pelvic surface is always smooth. Okay, then this is the upper border. We already know it is giving attachment to the obturator membrane which gives origin to obturator externus from outside. Lower border is everted, that means it is projecting outwards in males because it is giving attachment to the penis, crus penis. Okay, we will know more about fascia lata and collis fascia when we do the front of the thigh and also anterior abdominal wall. Just for now, you just remember like lower border of the ischiopubic ramus is giving attachment to fascia lata and collis fascia. Details we will be discussed in our following classes. Okay. Then, so when you see from outside, I told you it is outer surface. Let me also on my video simultaneously show you the outer surface. This is the outer surface. Okay. Then what are the various muscles attached here? See, I told you adductor. Better I take you to the picture where we have clear, like easy pictures. Easy pictures. Yes. See, now, see, this is the pubis bone, right? And this is the ischium bone. So, this is the ramus of ischium and this is the inferior ramus of pubis. Why I am calling as inferior ramus? Because pubis also has superior ramus. Ischium has only one ramus, that's why ramus of ischium. Whereas pubis has superior ramus and inferior ramus. So, inferior ramus of pubis and ramus of ischium, together you call it as ischiopubic ramus. So upper border is giving attachment. From outside we have obturator externus. The other muscle, I told you we have medial compartment of thigh muscles taking their origin. We have adductor magnus. That means adductor magnus we have seen in the posterior compartment also. Coming from the ischial tuberosity, that is hamstring. Adductor magnus is also seen going to the medial compartment of the thigh. That means these muscles which are seen in two compartments, that means posterior and medial compartment, such muscles are actually called as hybrid muscles. Okay. So below the origin of adductor magnus, you are finding the adductor brevis. Brevis means small. And as you go down, we are also seeing the origin of one more adductor component muscle, that is gracilis. Okay, these are the muscles what we see from outside. No. Inside, see here, see this is the ischiopubic ramus pelvic surface which is quite smooth. So it is all covered with endopelvic fascia. Okay, here you will see deep transversus perineal muscles, perineal muscles. Okay, external genitalia. There you have muscles which are called as perineal muscles, which we are going to discuss in the pelvis of abdomen region. Just a word where the muscle's name has come here, that is the deep transversus perineum, and you are also finding other structures like dorsal nerve of penis, internal pudendal vessels and nerves. Okay. Then this green line, which is thick green, you are finding this is actually the perineal membrane. Below the perineal membrane, you are finding the attachment of certain structures like crus penis in case of males, okay, ischiocavernosus and superficial transversus perineal muscles. Okay, so ischiocavernosus, superficial and deep transversus perineal we find in both males and females. Okay, crus penis is found only in males. So once you are done with this, that's the reason you have to learn the labelings thoroughly. If you learn the labelings thoroughly, you will be able to produce the answer in your own words. So from our outer surface, just now you saw in Chaurasia picture. So from the below upwards, we saw gracilis, adductor brevis, hamstring part of adductor magnus, right? This was adductor magnus, this is adductor brevis, and this is gracilis. And of course, this is the obturator externus. Inner surface is subdivided by upper uh, and lower ridges into three areas. Like we have upper area. Let me show here. This is the upper area. This is intermediate area, and this is the lower area. Right? Upper ridge. Upper area is giving attachment to this muscle. What is this? Obturator internus. And intermediate area, the sphincter urethra and transversus perineum are nothing but the deep transversus perineum, what I told you. Lower area, crus penis. In case of females, it is clitoridis muscle. Then ischiocavernosus and superficial transversus perineum. The name has little changed. Superficial transversus perineum can be also named as transversus perineum superficialis. Don't get confused. And these two ridges, the upper ridge gives attachment to superficial fascia of urogenital diaphragm, lower ridge I told you perineal membrane. Read these things slowly, giving gap so that you understand. Take the help of pictures more, okay, then you will be able to understand. Okay, I also recommend you to stop for a while after doing ischium. Then after some time when your mind gets refreshed, go with pubis. Though it is taken as a continuous lecture for you now. Okay, now before I go to pubis, I'll stop sharing the video, start sharing the video and stop sharing the PowerPoint. Now let me show you. See, this is the thin bone in front, which is called as pubis. So pubis has, this is the body of pubis. What I'll draw a line and show you. So this, whatever has been shaded with chalk piece is the body of pubis. Of course, the outside surface is the which surface, dorsal surface. And the inside surface is quite smooth pelvic surface. Very good. Okay. Then so I told you it has two projections. One projection is going upwards where I kept my finger. This is the superior ramus of pubis. And one projection is going downwards. We call it as inferior ramus of pubis. In between the two rami, wherever I am holding, that is the body of pubis. So that means it has superior ramus, it has inferior ramus, and then it has body. Inferior ramus of pubis is in continuation with the ramus of ischium to form ischiopubic ramus. So this surface, now let us discuss the body in detail. Okay. So now this surface where you will see, this is actually called as symphyseal surface because that is the medial surface of the body of pubis. The right pubic bone and left pubic bone will be actually fusing here to form pubic symphysis. Okay, pubic symphysis. Now let me share the screen to show you the details of pubis. So pubis, I told you, it has body, it has superior ramus and it has inferior ramus. So the shape of body is quadrilateral. Okay. What I have just shaded as pink area, this is more or less like quadrilateral and it has three surfaces. What are those? See, it has anterior surface, okay, which is also called as the femoral surface, posterior surface which is quite smooth, also called as pelvic surface, and medial surface which comes and articulates with one more bone, that is the symphyseal surface. Okay. Medial surface is symphysis surface. That means how many surfaces it has? See, this is the medial surface, okay, and this is the femoral surface or anterior surface, and this is the pelvic surface, also called as the pelvic surface is smooth inside, posterior surface. Okay, medial is symphysis. Now, if you observe, now this is the whole thing is the body of pubis, right? So this body of pubis, if you just draw a line, upper part, you call it as the pubic crest. Very important point. The upper border, I have drawn one line. This is nothing but the, what is it? What is this upper line called as? This pubic crest. Okay. So this is the pubic crest you are finding. Okay. Then, so from the pubic crest, if you feel there is a projection which is quite sharp, you call it as pubic tubercle. Pubic tubercle. We use different colored chalk. Yes. So, mm. See here, this whatever I have shown here with yellow chalk piece, this is pubic crest, and you are finding there is one pointed area over here which is pubic tubercle. So this is pubic crest and this is pubic tubercle. Now let me share the screen. So see, this is the pubic crest. I hope you have seen more clearly, which forms the upper border, okay, lateral border of obturator foramen. Whole of this thing is the obturator foramen. So this is the upper border, upper and lateral. So upper and lateral border. So this particular point is the pubic crest. Okay. Done. So now it has certain surfaces. What are the various surfaces? See, let me discuss this pubic crest only first. This is the thickened upper border. Whatever you are finding, this is the thickened upper border. Okay, the lateral end of it is projecting. Where I kept my finger, that is the pubic tubercle. Okay, that's what I want you to remember. So, actually, inguinal ligament has started from anterior superior iliac spine. It comes like this and it gets attached to the, like this it is. I kept pen over here to make you understand. From anterior to superior iliac spine to the pubic tubercle, you will see the extent of inguinal ligament. Rest of the structures, so many are listed here. You need not remember so many. You will get confused unnecessarily. Okay. So first important thing is the pubic crest and pubic tubercle. I want you to remember. Okay. Now, what are the various surfaces we have here? Okay. Now, see here. This is the upper border. Then, see here. The various surfaces we have here are anterior surface. The anterior surface is the one which is facing in front. Okay, which is like facing downwards, forwards, and laterally. Okay, you will see it is giving origin to the adductor longus. It goes like this. Okay, this is the anterior surface. Posterior surface, always remember it will be smooth. Okay, pelvic surface also called as. It gives origin to levator, ani, and obturator internus. In between them, medial surface, already I told you, it is taking part in the formation of the symphysis pubis. Isn't it? Pubic symphysis, medial surface. It forms the secondary cartilaginous joint. See, this is the, I'll just mark with chalk this again. See, this is the symphysial surface, which is medial surface. So that means outside surface you are finding is the anterior surface. Okay. Then inside surface is quite smooth. You call it as pelvic surface, and the one which is directed medially, which is also articulating with one more hip bone of the opposite side. So this surface is the medial surface, okay, which takes part in the formation of the pubic symphysis, okay, which is secondary cartilaginous joint. Okay, what I want you to remember more clearly is this line, the pubic crest, in this projection, which is pubic tubercle. Pubic crest and tubercle should be very clear. And I told you we have the attachment of the inguinal ligament extending from anterior superior iliac spine to the pubic tubercle like this. Okay. So that's what you have to remember, these things. Okay, and then so coming to the superior ramus, this one is the superior ramus. So superior ramus, it forms the, which is the superior ramus here. So now we have just finished body, so whatever above is there, that is the superior ramus. It forms superior lateral angle of the body of pubis. It is moving almost, see here, what is the name of this eminence? Already I have told you, arcuate line, and this continuation is iliopubic eminence. That means ilium bone and pubic bone meeting point on the pelvic surface, you call it as iliopubic eminence. See here, this is the medial border of ilium bone, this is the arcuate line, and this is our pubis, and you can see this is the border of the ramus of the pubis, which is now becoming continuous with the arcuate line. So the point is becoming very prominent, that's why you call it as iliopubic eminence. Iliopubic eminence. Okay, now we are talking about which border, like which ramus? Superior ramus. Okay. Now see here, again this superior ramus, so it has three borders and three surfaces. Now let us see what are the way. Always, if you hold the bone in proper anatomical position, defining borders and surfaces becomes very easy. I have been telling you when I told you the upper limb also. So what are the various borders we have? In front, whatever border we have is the anterior border. Okay, behind the border is posterior border, and in lower down, which is in obturator foramen, this is the inferior border. Okay, so we have anterior border, which is almost in correspondence to the pubic crest. Okay, anterior border we have, behind we have posterior border, and lower down we have inferior border. Anterior is front, posterior is behind, lower down, inferior is along, is forming the anterior boundary of the obturator foramen, that forms the actually inferior border of the superior ramus. Okay, so like that we have anterior, posterior and inferior borders. Then we have three surfaces. What are those? We have pectineal surface, pelvic is always smooth surface, and obturator surface. Okay. So we have pelvic surface, which is inside quite smooth. Okay. Then we have pectineal surface is this. Okay, between the anterior border and posterior border, whatever surface we have is the pectineal surface. Okay, now between the posterior, now see here, between the anterior border and inferior border, this is our anterior border, right, and this is our inferior border. So here we have one more surface which is called as obturator surface. Okay, three surfaces we have named now. One is pectineal surface, the obturator surface, and inside we have pelvic surface. Okay, that is. So these are the borders and surfaces of the superior ramus of pubis. Okay, so just pause the video, just rewind it, go back, listen to it again, you will understand. Okay, instead of me repeating again, please do that. See here. So of course we have the various borders and surfaces. We have anterior border, posterior border, inferior border. Then we have the pectineal surface, then pelvic surface and the obturator surface. Then anterior border. So this anterior border also like called as the obturator crest. So I told you lower down it is coming like this, which is in continuation with pubic tubercle. Okay, to the acetabular margin. Exactly what I have shown you like this. This yellow thing, whole thing like this. Okay, and then posterior border is the one which is I have shown you like pectineal line, pecten pubis, sharp line, continuous with arcuate line. This also I have shown you. Just rewind the video and see. Okay. Right. Further subdivisions are not so required. Iliopubic eminence I told you is this. Okay. So iliopubic eminence, this point you can see. This is the medial border of ilium bone, and this is the like pubic bone. We have the posterior border of the superior ramus. The meeting point is the iliopubic eminence. That point you are finding the muscle is inserted. That is psoas minor. This muscle you are going to see when you do abdomen. Okay. Then inferior border. I told you it is inside the obturator foramen where I kept my thumb, left thumb. This side. Okay. Obturator membrane leaving a gap. That means actually if you observe this whole of the obturator membrane is not covered with, whole of the obturator foramen is not covered with obturator membrane. Greenish is membrane, but still you are finding still some gap is there. So wherever you have gap, it is for the purpose of passage of vessels and nerves. So what are the vessels and nerves you see there? Obturator nerve, same name. Obturator foramen, very simple to remember. We have obturator foramen. The name of membrane is obturator membrane. Inside muscle is obturator internus. Outside muscle is obturator externus. Small gap which is there here, small gap, whatever is produced, that gap is giving passage to the obturator vessels and nerves. Okay? So we have seen pectineal surface between the obturator crest and pecten pubis, where we have the origin of pectineus. Okay? Then here you can see this is the pectineus origin. Okay? Between the obturator crest and pecten pubis. Okay? Then obturator surface. I told you this surface is the obturator surface. Over this one. So this obturator surface is grooved and it is forming the upper boundary of this obturator canal. This obturator canal is giving passage to the obturator vessels and nerves. Okay. So obturator foramen, it is oval and larger in males, whereas it is triangular and smaller in females. If you just look at this bone, it looks oval or more or less triangular. For me, it looks more like a triangular than oval. So, and the other things is bony landmarks are also not so clearly defined on this bone. And the weight of the bone is also little light, what I feel out of my experience. So, this looks like a female hip bone. So, in case of females, the shape of this obturator foramen will be triangular, whereas in case of males, it will be oval. Okay, then. Acetabulum is this cup-shaped depression. I told you it is actually formed by the upper two-thirds by ilium, posterior two-thirds by ischium, and anterior one-third by ilium. Isn't it? So that is. So that's how we have successfully finished the hip bone. So after that we should know ossification. So the primary ossification center is appearing for ilium during second month of intrauterine life. It goes and completely fuses with the whole of the bone which elaborates and forms the secondary ossification centers appear at puberty, and fusion is completed by 20 to 25th year. Okay, that is about the ilium. Okay, then coming to the pubis bone, the primary ossification center for pubis, it appears during 5th month of intrauterine life. It goes and fuses with the rest of the bone by 20 to 25th year. That means secondary center is appearing at puberty, and the about ischium, you see like primary center is appearing during 4th month of intrauterine life, and secondary center appears at puberty, and fusion is again same in 20 to 25th year. Okay, so that means the primary center is first appearing for ilium, second it is appearing for ischium, that is 4th month, and third it is appearing for pubis, that is 5th month. Okay, 2, 3, 5. Finally, whole bone will be fused and it is seen as a single bone by the age of 20 to 25th year. You are finding a triradiate cartilage at the acetabulum which shows the fusion of three bones, that is superiorly ilium, anteriorly pubis, posteriorly ischium. Okay, this is the triradiate type of fusion of the three bones in the floor of acetabulum. And one more thing, what I want you to tell you in the bowl. When you talk about acetabulum, this is the rim of acetabulum which gives attachment to the acetabular labrum during the formation of the hip joint. Like you see glenoid cavity and glenoidal labrum, right? Similarly, acetabular rim and acetabular labrum. And here you see this is the cup-shaped hollow, and the margins of this is actually horseshoe shaped smooth cartilage is found that shows it takes part in the formation of the hip joint, whereas the central area is all filled with fat, and when you feel, if you have bone, if you feel it is quite rough, whereas horseshoe shaped area which is margin is quite smooth, which is giving attachment to hyaline cartilage, that is the articular cartilage taking part in the formation of hip joint. Now if you see the lower part of the acetabulum, it is notched. Notch is here. It is not continuous. This rim is not extending inferiorly. Here you have acetabular notch. Okay, the acetabular notch is bridged in the living by means of a ligament which is called as transverse acetabular ligament, which is also one of the part of hip joint. This point will be repeated again when you do hip joint. Okay. So that is all about ossification. Then, so of course, male and female pelvic bones are quite different. You have a separate lecture for it. Nothing to worry. Now, the clinical significance of this hip bone is iliac crest is the point which is generally chosen to take bone marrow biopsy in case of anemia or leukemia. Okay. So Weaver's bottom is a condition where person sitting for a long period of time may get inflammation of these ischial tuberosities, because there we have a bursa, so that there will be continuous lubrication to overcome the friction. Suppose if there is any infection, then there will be difficulty to sit. You call that condition as Weaver's bottom. Hope you understood the lecture. Have patience to repeat, revise and study well, because until and unless you keep the track of bones, you cannot learn the limbs. So have patience to study this bone. All the best.